we're gonna do right here is go back. Way back. Back into time. No, baby, no, baby, no, baby.
Okay, that was fun. Let's get started. Lesson 2 for this week. Using the unit symbol. First you have to know how to read it. So what you are currently looking at is just the first quadrant. That's all we need to know for understanding how to read it. Special points, 60 degrees. 45, 30, blah, blah, blah. Previous lesson, you learned what the coordinates of these points are. And here's how you read the unit circle. I am going to draw just a random triangle, not special at all. No idea what that angle measurement is. Come straight down. I don't know why I'm being so picky perfect today, but voila. It is a unit circle. Whoops, unit circle. So we know the hypotenuse is 1. No doubt about that. Here's our reference angle. Da da da. So often in algebra, when you don't know the precise length of something, you name it with a variable. So in this case, I'm going to call the length of this line segment from here to here, I'm going to call it X. Makes perfect sense, yeah, because it's on the X-axis. And I'm going to call this line segment, I don't know how tall it is, I'm going to call it a generic Y. Again, makes sense because it's, you know, up and down is Y. We know from geometry, basic definition of the 3 trig ratios. We know that sine is equal to, you should do this too in your notes, by the way. And I do this every single year. What I'm about to show you, I do not memorize, because why memorize something that's super easy to figure out with logic, right? I mean, I do have SOHCAHTOA memorized. I definitely have that memorized. I mean, how can you not have this memorized? It's such a cool learning mnemonic device. Yeah. We know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And if you look at this generic triangle, not a special triangle at all, just generic, we know that the opposite side is the y, and we know that the hypotenuse is 1. This will be super important later when we're doing cosecant, by the way, but not for today's lesson. Y divided by 1 is just y. So I'm going to pause. Take a look at what you're seeing with your eyeballs. It says that sine is equal to y. Sine is equal to the y value. Super important. Let's do cosine. Cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. That much I have memorized. I know that. This, if you look at this triangle, the adjacent side is x. Hypotenuse is 1. This will be super important when you're doing secant later. Not today's lesson though. X divided by 1 is just x. So we got sine is equal to y. We got cosine is equal to x. Yeah. And let's do one more. Tangent. Tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, opposite over adjacent. The opposite side is y. Adjacent side is x. Voila. So tangent is equal to y divided by x. That should look familiar, by the way. It looks like something you've learned or seen before. May rhyme with dope. Starts with the slope. Oh, dang it, that rhymes. I told you the word. Whatever. So, if I ask you what the coordinates of this point are, you could say x comma y. And you would not be wrong. X comma y. And I can replace the x with something that is equal to. What's x equal to? X is equal to cosine of theta. Okay, and I can replace the y with anything that y is equal to. Y is equal to sine of theta. Bam! Doesn't seem like much, but this is literally what we just did. That is literally the key to understanding how to use the unit circle. Next page. I'm going to transfer this over to the next page. I'm going to call it the key. So we have sine of theta is equal to y. We had cosine of theta is equal to x. And we had tangent of theta is equal to the y divided by the x. So now we're going to do a few examples. I have a completely filled out unit circle for you. Let's see. Ignore these numbers. These are called radians. We'll teach you about radians next week or the week after that. But let's say I ask you, what is the sine value at 30 degrees? You cannot see that. Let me zoom out. Hopefully that's better. Okay, so if I ask you, what is the sine value of 30 degrees? All you got to do is this simple. Is go to the 30 degrees and sine, is it the x value or the y value? Got the key right there. 1/2. Yeah. Which is why the beauty of this unit circle, we don't need a calculator. I show you. Sine of 30. I bet you $1 billion is going to say half, and it does. Why does it say a half? Because it's a half. That's why. Nice, huh? Let's do another one. Let's say I ask you what the cosine of 150 degrees is. Remember, sine, cosine, tangent, they're just fractions. Just fractions. So you go to 150 degrees, right here. And then you find the cosine value. Is cosine the x or is cosine the y? Cosine is the x. So negative radical 3 over 2. Negative radical 3 over 2. So simple. So we're going to give you 20 of these problems. Each problem literally takes a second, right? You just got to find it. Dun, dun, dun. But tangent's a little bit harder because you got to do some math. Look at tangent equals y divided by x. So let me do a couple of tangent problems for you. Keep in mind, tangent is y divided by x, like slope, just like slope. Let me do, let's do tangent of 210 degrees. Make your fraction bar. Go to 210. Tangent is y divided by x. So the y value divided by the x value. So what happens here, you can't leave your answer like that. You can't have a fraction on top of a fraction. That is a rule in math, by the way. See these two negatives? They cancel. And then the 2's also cancel. So you end up with just 1 over radical 3. Bam! That is good enough for me, by the way. You do not have to rationalize the denominator unless you want to. Matter of fact, I would prefer if A, you show me this, the initial fraction, B, you do the simplification to get that. If you tell me the simplified answer of radical 3 over 3, wait, is it radical 3 over 3? Yep, radical 3 over 3. If you tell me that, I'm going to think that you cheated with some special calculator, so I'd rather see the work. Yeah? It's the only way you have to show work on. Don't have to show work on sine or cosine. The answers are just there. Don't have to show any kind of work whatsoever. Let's see. Tangent. Let's go. I'm going to go tangent of 360 degrees. Where's 360? Right here. Same as 0. Y divided by x. What's the y value? 0. What's the x value? 1. So 0 divided by 1, which is 0. Dun, dun, dun. Tangent. Let me do tangent of 90. It's y. Always do the fraction bar. Yeah. Y divided by x. Y divided by x. 1 divided by 0. You learned way back in elementary school you can't divide by 0, so you're going to write 1 divided by 0 is undefined. Cannot divide by 0. If you take pre-calculus next year, what happens graphically whenever you're trying to divide by 0 is you get something called a vertical asymptote, by the way. So, important to know that you can't divide by 0. Yeah? So, let's see, I believe the assignment is 20 problems. There's 8 of these, 8 of those, and 4 tangent problems or something like that, if I remember correctly. Recap. Sine is y, cosine is x. Do I have that memorized? Absolutely not. I don't have that memorized. I have to go through this process every single year, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Sine is y. That is why sine is y. Good luck with the assignment, people. Hey, start liking my YouTube videos. Shoot.